Hi, I'm Matthew Greger.
And I'm Nancy Greger.
We have this new podcast called We Should Probably Edit This.
But we won't. As you can see, it's kind of dark outside.
Why is that?
Well, we were supposed to have done this yesterday, which was Mother's Day. But we didn't communicate well yesterday. And we did other things instead.
What? We did not communicate. We just did.
No, you didn't say, hey, don't go put on your sweaty clothes.
Oh, you mean after church when we came home? You'd already changed to go out there.
If you had said, hey, we're going to do the recording.
So it's my fault.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is your fault.
Usually is. That's okay.
You've accepted your responsibility. This is a good first step.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Well, first of all, let's wish everybody, all the moms out there, a happy belated Mother's Day, because the intent was to have done this.
Well, even if we recorded yesterday, they wouldn't go out till tomorrow anyways.
Yeah,
so it still would have been belated.
Okay, well.
Okay.
But happy Mother's Day. So
happy Mother's Day.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about was what values your mom instilled in you growing up.
Oh, so we're talking about our mom.
Yeah, our moms.
And being a mom, and what values you hope to have instilled in your children?
Yeah, being a mom.
Okay.
Being a mom, yes. Absolutely.
Sounds good. So, my mom, she just really, wanted to love us as kids. And I remember really about her baking and doing those kind of things, making us feel good. There was something about mom that just made you feel warm and comforting. I guess she gave you that safety about being at home, about wanting to be home, and I enjoyed that part of it about her being there when we got home from school, about her. That was early on. Later she worked, but early on she was there for us, made us the snacks, always, feed the kids.
Feed the children.
That's for sure.
Well, that was good. That wasn't my my childhood, because my mother worked.
Always?
Yeah. I don't remember. I would come home from school. It was not my mother who was there, or my father, but not my mom. I think the value that my mom kind of instilled was that of sacrifice, because she couldn't be there, right? She had to work, which meant that she had to work in order to provide for her family the extra money that was necessary, because she didn't want her daughter to go without. So she worked really, really hard at making sure that I didn't want from anything. And even not, her not being home really wasn't anything that was really striking, because I got to tell you, she left me with some phenomenal nannies, people that she entrusted to take care of me while she went to work. And
so you had nannies growing up?
Well, I had babysitters, but when you're young, you I had this one lady who happened to be the next door neighbor, and she was an old Italian lady, a grandma, a nonna, who, that lady instilled in me the want to cook, because Mom dropped me off, and that lady and I, we were making sauce. Was she a mom too? She was she was a mom, but her kids were like grown and out. She was definitely a grandma.
Okay.
But because she wasn't a young, type of lady. But young enough, I guess, to take care of a small child, anyways, because this was before I went to school. And she, maybe it was while I was in school. I don't know. But what I do remember is that the smell, I could still smell her kitchen and how she would make the sauce and cook homemade pasta. And then she'd had me cranking that pasta machine. I remember it was like this old cranker thing. You'd have to crank it out. But my mom, I think she kind of taught me to be resilient. And I think both my mom and dad were the type of people that if you came to the house, you sat down first, you were served first. They didn't just sit. They would make sure everybody else was taken care of before they sat down. And I think that's very much probably still with me to this day. I will stop whatever I'm doing to make sure that if you need to be fed, you're going to get fed.
Yeah, my mom was a lot like that too, with regards to, just she really cared about other people. I think she put other people first always. It seemed like, especially her own kids and even my dad, but she had this great compassion, and I remember, well, she still does, but she's had this great compassion for caring about other people. Sometimes I think she overdoes it in some regards where she worries too much about things, because she does care a lot. It comes from the point of wanting to be able to help, or at least hoping that everything's okay
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. My mom's not a worrywart. That's not my mother.
Well, I don't know if she's a worrywart, but she definitely I remember growing up. I mean, she cared about other people. She cared about us. Even in her estate sale business, it was always what she could do for them, and that's what I remember the most.
Yeah. Well, I know that with my kids, our children, it was a different growing up because I stayed home for pretty much all of them. I was at home. I don't think I went back to work until at least the last one was in middle school before I went back to work. Whenever we bought 17 West Pine, that's really when I went back to work. We worked together when we started the business.
Well,
But
you had part-time jobs throughout the time.
yeah, I considered those, I'm leaving. Here are your children. They've been fed. Good luck. I gotta go. Moments, because they were at night. They were nighttime jobs. They weren't during the day. I did had if we and we had a babysitter for
Well,
us, a mother's helper.
The two younger ones, Katie and Noah, they were in elementary school during that time. They weren't in middle school.
They were that,
when
yeah.
we had the babysitter.
When we had but she didn't go for more than 2 hours before you came home.
So you could get to your
That's
part-time
so that I
job.
could get to my part-time job within by the time I needed to put like 4 hours.
But
in
it
the
all
evening.
started with you driving the bus.
Boy, the
with the
school
two
bus.
with two of them
With the
strapped in
two
their
of them?
car seats.
Both, because the middle one and the last one are only 14 months apart. So they're my Irish twins. So to take them with me on the school bus when I had to leave like at 5 o'clock in the morning, when it's really, really cold, man, that was tough. That was really, really
Oh,
tough.
they enjoyed getting up at
They-
that time. Yeah.
They wouldn't even remember it because by the time I got them in,
They were both asleep
They were
again.
both. They would fall right back to sleep, and just as I was finishing and coming back in to take them, they would be, woken up, and then we had to do it for the afternoon. So after lunch, we were right back at it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I stayed home, and they went with me to work. That was the best part of driving the bus, was that I could take the kids with me. But yeah, but I was privileged, I think, in order to stay home with them when they would go to school and they would come home from school. Um, I definitely I definitely felt that was a privilege because I know a lot of moms that did not have that ability to do that. They had to go to work. But I
Mm,
understood that too because my mother went to work. I don't
right.
remember there ever being a point where my mom wasn't working. And I mean, by the time my brother and I are 14 years apart, so by the time he came along, I was pretty much ready to go out the door, and start my own adventures. Um, and so he didn't have that same type of upbringing. I think he had my mother home more often than I did. But
Not me. I mean, my brother was we're 3 years apart, so
yeah,
and he was old. Well, not old, he was taller than me, or right about the same height. So it seemed like we were about the same age, anyways, for a good portion of our younger life. But yeah, remember in California, we had like 3 acres or so that we could play in. So we were always out there playing after school, riding bikes, doing crazy things. I mean, mom was usually around somewhere if something happened, and something usually happened.
yeah. But she was
she,
close by.
she was there to patch us up when we would skin our knees
Yeah, she
or
was close
um
by.
or cut our finger or do the stupid things that we did together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just like for our kids now that they're adults and they have lives of their own, and our oldest has children. Um, you're kind of wondering what types of values they walked away um, with living with us. Um, I would think that they're good humans. I do think that they are good humans. I do think that they work really hard at doing the right things. I believe that,
Well,
yeah,
having kids, I think, changes a lot of your thinking and actions that you do
yeah,
in particular, and especially
because they see
it's
so much. Your
well,
kids
it's
see
it's
so
also
much.
it's also it's also funny because I see things that come around that they would complain to you about being parents, and now they're doing the same things that we were doing.
Oh, well, we've had that. When all of a sudden something comes out of your mouth and you say, "Oh my God, that was my mother." That
Yeah,
you just the
yeah.
words just came out. But I mean, values as far as what we instilled in the kids, I think is that of really working hard and valuing the time that you have with who you have it with. At least I hope so. Maybe that's a question we need to ask our children.
Well, I mean, do they think that we spent time and valued them?
I think so.
I mean, there were definitely times that I was on vacation and I was absent because I worked. Well, well, vacation for us was going down to Florida and staying with your mom.
Okay, my mom and dad.
Yeah,
That was a cheap vacation
that's right. And
because
then
well, we
then I
had
had I had tickets from when I worked at Disney, so we got to go to
you
we
didn't have
took them to
tickets. Your
Disney.
brother worked for
No, but I
Disney,
had
got us in.
well, I did for a while until mine ran out.
Maybe for Benjamin, but when it came to the other two, no, we used Uncle's passes to get us in.
Right.
So they were privileged in that benefit because very few children ever got the opportunity to go to Disney World more than one time. Um, but I think right now we had this conversation with the Ultra Ladies, and which is a group of people that are friends of ours. And we talked about what we're looking at as far as what we're valuing now. Like, what's your values now? Because I think things change and we evolve. We change and we evolve because, we don't have the kids at home. It's just the two of us. And so now we're evolving into something a little bit different. And so
What are you evolving into?
Well, I one of the things that I had said that I was really working on was learning how to be patient. Um, and,
Maybe with me?
and just in general,
Okay.
learning how to be
Well, let me know when that
patient.
happens.
Because that was there was two. I remember being more patient. That was really more of the critical one for me, was being patient and learning to be patient, because we can really get I can get very quick to action.
And there you go. And you just snap out. And you just come right out with it. There's no
Yeah.
thought sometimes.
No, there is thought. There's always
Well,
thought, but
I mean,
sometimes your thought should be kept to yourself versus
you should think
to
about
open.
what you're going to say, not that you didn't have
Correct.
thought, but you should think, is this the right time to say it or not?
Well, that's why I'm working on being more patient
Okay.
and trying to look at
Unlike
that.
me, you wait for me to actually come up with a response or to say something. And see, that's where you need more patience. It's to wait. It's to wait for me.
Eventually, you come around. Sometimes that takes a little longer than what we'd want, but I'm trying my best just to
See,
keep moving along.
I'm a good what do you call that when I'm the one that's actually helping you with your patience? I'm not a teacher in this particular case, but I'm a good
You're my example.
yeah, I'm your cause for patience.
You're my cause for patience. There's a lot
Okay.
of there's a lot of things in there, but yeah.
Okay.
So
So
patience
patience
was
is
one.
one, all right.
Patience was one. I can't remember what the other one was. I wrote it down though. I did write it down. But those are the kind of things that we were talking about, is what do we value now? What are we valuing now as our time? Um,
Well,
what did you value? What I valued 20 years ago to what I value now, I think's changed. I
okay.
don't think it's the same. I mean, it's not that you don't value your family and value your children and your grandchildren and that dynamics. It's more or less where you're going to focus your energies on, because you're
And
growing.
and when you say growing, you mean you're changing and
We're entering into another phase in our lives. Some people will
okay.
call us empty nesters. I think we've been empty nesters for a few years.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're just now empty nesters. We've been empty nesters for a few years, but I would say within the last 2 years, we're becoming more intentional on what it is that we're doing together,
Okay.
and where it is that we're looking to go for the next, you know,
Like this
20 years, God
podcast, for
willing.
instance.
Like this podcast, right? Like doing things that we.
I mean,
If you had asked me 2 years ago if we were going to be doing this, I would say no.
right, right.
I wouldn't have thought that this would have been something we would do.
Yeah, I mean, my values have changed, or I should say, my outlook on what I value has changed a lot more. I mean, now I value friendships a lot more. I value connection with people. I value those connections with my own kids a lot more. And it's different now because I know I've been judgmental at times as they were growing up, and sometimes I think they think I'm still the same. So having conversations, adult conversations with your kids as they get older, is difficult at times because you're still in that role of mom and dad.
Well, you're
And
never going to lose that role.
no, but they still view you as
Mom and dad.
as
As mom and dad.
yeah,
Yeah. As what it was like when they were living at home.
right.
And the
right.
funny part of it all is that they're not like what they were like when they were living at home.
And neither are we.
And neither are we.
And I don't think that's actually, recognized at times. And I think from both sides we need to recognize that, right? Because they're not the same. we're not the same, and I think that's good.
I think if you're truly expanding your horizons, if you're truly growing, if you're truly trying to experience different things, you're going to need to continuously evolve.
Yeah.
You can stay in the comfort zone, right? We've talked about this. You can stay in the comfort zone, or you can push yourself out of that comfort zone
Right.
to want to do more, to want to do
Well, it's also the values that we have. We want to instill different values than what we had before, and I think when they were younger, you just want them to get through school with decent grades, and you
and
want
be
them
good
to.
and be good people. I think you want your
Yeah, I
children
mean,
to be good people.
yeah, of course we did for sure. We wanted our kids to behave and to really just embrace their own uniqueness as far as really coming into what is it that they want to do. And you wanted as we wanted to support them, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I think as they were growing up, I don't think either one of us tried to push them to do one thing or another. We wanted them involved. We didn't want them not doing anything.
Correct.
So I think the pushing that we did was really geared towards
Keeping them moving.
keeping them, yeah, getting them into doing something, to discovering what it is that they like to do.
Right.
Whatever,
You weren't
whatever
going to
that
figure
was.
that out sitting at home
Right.
doing nothing.
Right.
And so you had to do extracurricular activities. You had to be very thought-minded in that process of doing
So our values were really about seeing them excel, and what it was, as well as what you said. There's all the things about it, about being good humans, and about respecting other people. And I think I see that definitely in our grandkids. So I know that both Ben and Shelby are doing their best to make sure that our kids, that our grandkids, yeah, are good humans, and that they recognize other people.
Yeah.
It's not just about them.
It is not just about them. But you know what? The best compliment you can get as a parent is when somebody says to you, hey, your kid is really great, or they did something really spectacular.
Yeah.
Like I can remember just about almost every single one of them where a teacher came up to me and said something to me that occurred during the day
Yeah.
that my child did really well. And I was like, "Ooh, okay, that was great."
And especially when someone will say, "Your children are so well behaved."
Yeah, you're
I just
like,
"Hey, really?"
are we talking about the same three?
Yeah, yeah.
But that just goes to show, though, that in the home, when they're home,
Well,
they could be themselves.
Yeah,
There wasn't
okay. It's okay when you're home to let
yeah.
loose a little bit. And
just to let out frustration and anger that you may have either with your sibling or something that had occurred, with them. And it's funny because when you have them all at home and they're all kind of together, they develop their own types of relationships with their siblings, and they really, look at that relationship.
who are you talking about? I mean, about our kids,
Our
and
kids.
and their brother and sister.
Yeah, they're siblings. Yeah, they've always you find out later that the middle child was the one person that you could tell something to, and she would take it to her grave. Whereas if you didn't care if somebody found out about something, you could tell the last one because he couldn't hold a secret to save himself. And that's not something I think we knew when they
Well,
were
I know
growing
that I know
up.
the oldest one. He was much older than the other two, meaning like 4 years difference. He didn't like, especially the youngest one, at all. And now they're like more, they're pretty
Time.
good friends and stuff.
And it's so true, right? When you're a kid, the age difference makes a big deal. But when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. It really, it no longer matters that you're 4 years older or 5 years older. It doesn't matter. It suddenly doesn't become anything of an interest. I remember that. I mean, my brother and I are 14 years apart, but the first 7 grandchildren on my father's side were literally all 1 year apart. We're all girls and we're all 1 year apart. So getting us all together was sometimes an amazing 7 girls, all 1 year apart. No, that was a recipe for like disaster. And I remember growing up, you had them as cousins, and just because they were teenagers and you weren't a teenager yet, they felt like there was such a big difference. And now we're like well in our sixties, we're all in our 60s, and we're kind of sitting back saying, yeah, that doesn't matter anymore.
So what do you value the most right now?
I think what I value the most is this stage of my life and having the opportunity to do certain things that probably 2 years ago I would have never even thought about.
Like what?
Well, like just doing the personal growth and the personal development kind of stuff, and focusing on certain things that I'm looking forward to. Because for a long part, my identity was attached to my children. Oh, you're so and so's mom. I'm still so and so's mom. Don't get me wrong, and I'll always be so and so's mom. But it just got to a point where you had to kind of figure out, okay, so what do you want to do? What is it that you're going to be focusing your energies on? Because just because you're at a certain age doesn't mean you're done. And so I value the time I have now.
Yeah. I definitely value that. I value time more than anything else probably right now because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on an accelerated growth plan. you know that it's I need to really push forward and get that motivation, momentum, as I would call it, to be able to do the things that I want to do. And that excites me, really, to tell you the truth, that I can make a difference and that I can give back for all these years, and nothing's more fulfilling to me than actually making a difference in someone else's life. And no matter how small that is, and I hope to also be able to find a different connection with my kids, that we can value each other in a different way now, a more mature way, a more a way that enables us to grow at a different level together. I don't know how to explain that exactly.
No, because they're adults now, so you're looking at them from a different angle. You're no longer looking at them, or at least you're trying not to look at them as that 12-year-old kid. You're trying to look at them as a grown up, going through their own life's challenges and going through their own, experiences in life and dealing with all kinds of aspects. I think you would just hope that they would always want to be able to reach out to you and ask you questions, and be as interested in your life as you were interested in their life.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely would like them to like try to understand what we're doing right now and why we're doing it, and then ask us questions.
Yeah,
What's
but
you know?
the idea of the what do I value is just that, the here and the now, the fact that we're still learning, we're still growing, we're still trying to figure
Yeah,
things
and we
out.
still make
We
mistakes.
still make mistakes, and
And
we
it's like,
still
and
do all of that.
then it's about though that we learn from those mistakes and
We hope.
yeah,
We
and try
hope.
not to repeat them, and not try not to repeat them.
Sometimes we do.
But yeah,
But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
you don't know.
That is this topic, right? You don't know.
Right.
Just as much as
But you don't know about the other, and they don't know about you
No.
sometimes,
You
and so
don't know. You
so.
don't know. Well, so in any case, we could wrap that up.
Okay.
Values. What are your values? What do you value?
What do you value right now
What
in
do
your
you
life?
value now? Yeah. What do you value now in your life, or what do you value in general? I hope
I
that
think
you'll follow us. It's funny how we run into different places and people will say, at least they said it to me. I don't know if they said it to you, but how they said, "Oh, I've listened to your podcast," and I'm like, "What?" And then I realized, oh God, yeah, the
we
podcast.
should probably edit this.
But we won't.
Until next time.
Bye.